60% of people do not have a will.
Do you have a will?
So you kind of, it's.
The only will I know is our producer over there. You right, Will?
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Where there's a will, well, we kind of say where there's a will, there's a claim, but I think, but I don't want to be known as a hearse chaser. I'm not chasing hearse. Yeah, I'm not. No, I've just given you a tagline starting now. Please don't do that. No, I'm not doing that. So 60% of people. I'll stand in a room and lecture to a group of lawyers and say, how many are in here have got a will, and not more than 60% will stand up, and you're getting it for nothing. And the reason why that doesn't happen is because people, I won't ask you why you haven't done a will, but I'll simply give some reasons and you can nod. The usual reason is because I don't think I've got enough, or I haven't got time, or I'm too busy to die, or there are all those kind of reasons.
I'm too busy and I don't have time.
Yeah, you don't, and it's going to cost me some money, which actually I don't really want. It amazes me that people work so hard to gather a gain, provide, put things together, and then won't spend a little bit of money to preserve it for the next generation. And it's your kids ultimately, or keeping your kids out, as we've said. If you don't do it, the intestacy rules will kick in. If you are not married, your cohabitee will not get anything.
What are those?
I got it.
Intestinal rules?
Yeah, intestacy rules.
Intestacy.
Yeah. It's got nothing to do with your stomach, I promise. It might make you sick in the stomach, because intestacy is where there's no will. Intestacy is a set of rules that's set down by the government, so it's in statute, and it will tell you where your property, where your assets will go. So it will say, if you are married, your wife will get X. If you've got kids as well, your kids will get a share that's split between them, and then the rest goes back to your wife. The problem with the intestacy rules is that they're not modern, they haven't been brought up to date. So they don't even believe or see or treat either cohabitees or children of the family. So you can imagine these blended families, lots of them. If you're not of the blood, then you are ignored by the intestacy rules. Yeah. So you get this ridiculous position where you can have husband and wife married, 3 kids. Husband dies, tragically. And it doesn't have to be tragically, but if he dies. And then the wife is left with receiving an amount of money coming through, an allowance that she will get. So she'll get the first lump, and then the rest of it's split between the kids. But if the kids are less than 18 years of age, it has to be held on trust for them. Mm-hmm. But what happens if some of these assets she needs, and that she wants to sell a house and downsize, but actually half of the house is now the kids?
So and then when they turn 18, they blow it all on like a Peugeot 306 and an Ibiza or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Good
car.
Well,
with my cousins, they the uncle wanted to sell the house, and then the youngest didn't want to sell the house, and they were arguing about, we need to sell it. No, we don't want to sell it. And so, they got into dispute that way.
And the problem is you've got a really good, nice family together, all get on. But suddenly these kids need, because you want to sell the house, because they're under 18, they can't sign a contract, they can't do anything. So they need to have litigation friends appointed. If you've got 3 kids, that's 3 separate lawyers potentially. A lawyer for the mother, a lawyer for the estate. So if you're not then you've got to go to court to get a court approval of the settlement. So from a situation where a will might cost you between 250 and $2.5 depending how complicated it is you'll find that it will end up costing them 10 grand minimum to actually get something done that they all agree about.
Plus the stress. Plus like this awful period of your husband's died and then you're in court for a year trying to get some money
a vacuum.
Just so you can feed the kids. I recently did my will, and like what I will say to people listening is I found it like really life affirming.
Yeah.
I found it a lovely experience. You think it's negative, but then you sit down and you go, here's all the things I have and here's who I want them to go to. And now I know that like the people I love are looked after, and if I die, they'll know I love them. And like, you kind of just feel like a bit of a legend. Every time I see my son, I'm like, you don't even know how sorted you are, mate. If I die, do you know what I mean? It kind of makes you feel like complete.
I think you have to remember that your will, I always view it this way, is your will is your last monologue.
Yeah.
It's the last time you speak from the grave, potentially. You're actually saying, I've weighed and measured everybody. And
you're a twat.
And you're
Melt.
Gone.
Quite long. Legend.
In, out. But there's no right of redress. That's the sad thing about it, is that having said you're worth £1, you know, you can't respond.
I'm out of here, peace.
Yeah. I'm gone.
That ultimate mic drop,
it's good,
And it is, which is why it's really difficult, because actually a will's done at a point in time. And of course, as I'm sure it will, your finances will get better, and life changes and new kids and whatever goes in. So you need to keep updating as well. I mean, in a way, I'm not here to sell wills at all, but I do think doing a will promotes all the right conversations to have financially, but if you're seeing us, by the time you're seeing sort of my firm, is that you're already dead, and it's your kids that are having to try and resolve the problem that's now facing
the stress away from them. I just think for me, I'm a very optimistic person, so maybe I'm just not going to die. No, I think like it's scary writing a will. Like you have to accept that you're going to die, and this is what you're going to do when you die. So for me, it's just like daunting, and the same with like talking to your parents about it. Just the whole, you don't want to. I'm like a guy that like doesn't. My mum says ostrich, head in the sand, and you're like, don't worry, no one can see me. So it's just kind of like pushing it away. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. Well,
there's a place for that, isn't there? Because that part of your personality means that you will take risks. You will do things that you want to do, and I think that works really well. But I do think you need to sort something out. I mean, it's a fairly obvious thing to say.
That was a clip from our full-length conversation with Martin Holdsworth, who specialises in inheritance disputes, and you can watch the full thing right here.